Hey everybody, welcome to Purpose People. Today we have got Sam Pilling. Is it Pilling?
Pilling.
Sam Pilling from Bite Me Marketing, correct?
Absolutely.
There you go, see. We're going to be talking all things social media, that sort of stuff, about Facebook and maybe a few other networks like TikTok and the differences between. But thank you so much for coming. It's going to be fun.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So you could be doing any job in the world and you decided to pick up social media.
Why would I choose this?
Why would you choose such a stressful, algorithm, content heavy, busy world? Why Facebook and social advertising and stuff?
There's no short answer to this question.
Okay.
There's a long rambling answer to the question. Well, which do you want?
Best places, I think Winnie the Pooh said, best place to start is at the beginning. So let's do that.
Okay, so starting at the beginning, first of all, I've got an apology to make because I actually had a happy childhood. And I know that doesn't make for great podcasts because we like the adversity story, don't we? We like that I come from a tough childhood.
We're not Britain's Got Talent, though.
Oh, that's true. But I had a great childhood, but in the context of this, it was very kind of entrepreneurial.
Okay, cool.
Although I'm a child of the 70s, so the word entrepreneur I don't think existed in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was the family business. My granddad had gone into, there's actually a funny story about this. My granddad had gone into a business that had been established in the late 1880s. And obviously much later, I'm not that old. And
you do well.
And the business was owned by two elderly sisters, and he'd worked for them for years. And he said to them, look, obviously you want to retire. Can I step in and buy the business? And the two sisters said, look, we haven't got children. We haven't got any family. We've got no one to leave the business to. How about we give you the business, but you pay us a pension until we die? So my granddad, very honourable man, said, yeah, absolutely, sorted them out a really good pension. Then the two of them lived for another 25 or 30 years. So he ended up paying over the odds for it.
Wow.
But I kind of grew up in that atmosphere of my granddad had the family business, then my dad and my uncle went into it, then my auntie and my mum, and then my brother, and then cousins. And then I would weekends and summer jobs when I was back from university. But I very much grew up in that environment of it's fine to kind of set up your own business.
Yeah, cool.
Which kind of leads me on to, I then went away to university. I wanted to go into the police force, didn't want to go into the family business. I wanted to get away from the family business, but I wanted to do something different, go into the police force. So I went and took some advice, some career advice, and was told, go and get a degree. Doesn't matter what just go and get a degree and then come back and apply for the graduate acceleration scheme.
Yeah, okay.
And so I did that, and I went away to university, and I had a ball for 3 years just kind of picking.
Which university?
Went to Wolverhampton.
Okay.
So I just kind of picked modules that I thought, oh, that looks good. That looks really interesting. And so I kind of, what they do is they kind of count up your modules at the end of the 3 years and then give you your degree.
Yeah.
And so I'd done a bit of sociology, a bit of literature, history, politics, art history. And then it basically came out with this degree I'd thoroughly loved doing, but then didn't want to go into the police force and had an absolutely useless degree that wouldn't give me a job or get me anywhere, get me anywhere in life. But luckily, when looking for a job at the end of university, I opened up newspaper, the old-fashioned paper ones that used to have the job pages. And there was an advertisement for a brand new TV channel was setting up, Channel 5, and they were looking for the full team, the full launch team, and they were looking for people to go into the advertising department, and they just wanted a degree, didn't care what it was in, and they didn't want experience because they wanted to build this culture and train people rather than bring people in that had preconceptions and had worked elsewhere. And so there were over 600 of us that applied for 6 jobs. And I managed to get one of them. And that
good,
kind of started my tumultuous relationship with marketing and advertising.
And media, So Channel 5. So how long were you at Channel 5 for?
I was there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So the pre-launch team. So we launched with Spice Girls on Channel 5. Okay. I was in Covent Garden in a bar watching Channel 5 go live. And after a couple of years, wanted to do something still in media and still within marketing, but there was this newfangled thing called the internet.
Yeah.
And it was called new media. And no one thought it would take off. It wasn't going to be a big thing.
I've seen some articles floating around the internet the last couple of days.
I'm making myself look so old.
Yeah, but people were saying this will never catch on.
They were, and we were going around to. So I went and worked in digital media back in 2000, right in the middle of the .com crash, and then 2002 I was working for. It was like the first big female portal in the UK called handbag.com, owned by Boots and Telegraph. And we were going into brands and into agencies and saying, let us tell you about what women are doing online. Yes, women are online. It's not just men on sites.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It is actually women using it. And talking to them about discussion boards and forums and talking about what would then become social media. But we were 2 years before Facebook was even born.
Wow.
Saying to brands, here's an opportunity. You're used to broadcasting at people your message. You can now have a conversation with your clients. So it was quite a big thing to get our brains around and to get agencies and brands' brains around. But it was brilliant to get in at the ground. Really good.
I remember we were building websites and stuff, started to build them in the infancy. And it's like, what is this? It was really... We had a podcast this morning with someone who was designing websites, and we were just talking through the process of how much it's changed as well. And you really do forget how much things have changed in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's really an interesting point about forums, because forums were this like unknown thing that no one could control. And do you want a forum or do you not want a forum? And there were a lot of, I think back in the day, we didn't even have screenshots at the time. It was just that people would go online and just show you this long thread of stuff. And then obviously it turned into social media, which is incredible. So what was the first social network you were on?
What, me personally? I think I must have been on Friends Reunited.
Did you get on, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Made famous by David James leaving his wife.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So David James got onto Friends Reunited, hooked up with some school girlfriend and left his wife. And that's how it was famous. So everyone's like, David James, the England goalkeeper at the time, used Friends Reunited to run off with someone else. And so he had a bit of a reputation just in and around that story, and I think it was bought by ITV.
It was, and it died a death.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew what to do with it.
No, and they spent a lot of money. I can't remember how much it was now, but it was crazy.
It was a lot of money. Yeah.
So Friends Reunited, wow, that's a cast back. Yeah, and then there was MySpace. Mm-hmm. Were you on that?
I was on MySpace, but I don't think I actively used it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it would have been Facebook, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for most of us.
Yeah. So. And then, of course, LinkedIn.
So in that journey then, you're on social media, you're obviously in the media, you're working with it. So when did you sort of make the decision that, social media was going to be a career, in terms of these platforms were coming out and you were like, I need to learn about these because this is changing fast?
Yeah, well, that actually takes me to what I class as my midlife crisis,
okay.
which most people...
Your pivot point.
One of the pivot points in my life. Most people, when they have a midlife crisis, it's like a younger partner or it's a motorbike or a sports car. Mine was cake.
Okay.
It sounds strange.
Yeah.
But I'd got to the point in my career in kind of corporate media, shall we say, that I was ready to leave the industry. I didn't want to be doing the London commute anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have kind of like my career destiny controlled by external factors.
Yeah.
And so I was pregnant with our third, and the role that I had at that time. So at the time I was a commercial head for Baby Centre, which was a Johnson & Johnson business. Been an amazing role for a couple of years, but and it's quite right. I look back now and I think it was the right decision, but the business had grown. We'd been smashing our goals, but the business my role then needed to change.
Yeah.
And so my role that I'd been very flexible and doing marketing and doing PR and doing social media as well, they then wanted to make me like a head of sales, and it wasn't the right role. So I said to my husband, I need to have a break. I need to do something different. And I think in those moments when perhaps not at your lowest, but you just don't know where you're going or what your future is. I think you do look for something that's comfortable and familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And my nan had her own cake business. And so when I grown up, whenever I went round to my nan's house, the house always smelled of like fruit cake and sugar and brandy, because she was feeding the cake, not because she was sweet. Although knowing my nan, she probably would have had a couple, but she was feeding the cake. But it had this lovely kind of smell, and she taught me how to make sugar flowers and things like that. So I think in this break, I looked for something familiar, something comfortable, and so started making cakes. And started, making cakes for parents at the school gate. I'd be chatting to them and, can you do a birthday cake? And then I started supplying to local shops. Then I upskilled, went on lots of training courses, and then was making wedding cakes. Fast forward a couple of years, I sat down with my business coach and I said to her, look, on the surface, this business looks hugely successful. I'm in Hello magazine. I'm writing for magazines around the world. I'm interviewing cake decorators. I'm supplying into some of the top London hotels. Was asked to fly out to Dubai to make someone's 70th wedding cake using one of the top hotels' kitchens. I mean, I didn't do it. How intimidating would that have been? And I said to her, on the surface, this business is looking really successful, but actually a business that I started when I was pregnant with my third child to fit around the kids, I'm now working 80-hour weeks.
Yeah.
I'm working evenings because that's when people can have their cake consultations. I'm working weekends because that's when I'm delivering. And then I'm baking and doing the admin and doing everything in between. So I'm horrible to live with. There's 2 years of family photos where I'm noticeably absent because I was working and delivering cakes and stuff. So I don't know how my husband stuck with me, because I wouldn't have been as patient with him. And I
Were
just
you feeding him the cake?
You can only give someone enough, cake becomes very boring after a little while. And I said, it isn't easy, even if I can turn around to him and say, look, sweetheart, I am earning a fortune. Let's suck it up for 5 years. I'll pay off the mortgage. I'll set us up for retirement. It wasn't even washing his face. It just wasn't making money as well. And so she said to me, okay, what is it about your business that you really love? I said, well, here's the irony. It's the marketing, it's the PR, it's the social media, it's the growing the business, it's meeting with the clients and understanding what they want. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Didn't mention baking once. And she said, well, why don't you do more of that? I said, well, I can't because I'm always baking. She said, well, stop baking. I was like, oh.
And gave you the permission.
Oh yeah, my family, who are lovely and supportive, had been trying to say that to me, but we don't want to listen to our families, do we?
And not from and it often comes from a completely different voice or a completely different space. But it's interesting you should say that, because certainly on the purpose journey, when you said, we're always looking for stories, or people look for stories for tragic, the key thing that's come out, we've done now 60 plus podcasts. Everyone goes through one or two pivots. The thing they started off doing, like you said, I was going to go to the police or whatever, you end up not doing that. And I think that's what we've seen as a pattern. You do it long enough, you start to see patterns. And I think it's the family thing comes up quite a lot. And the fact that you say, I need something to fit around the family and engage and stuff like that. So, it's not unusual in terms of the pattern that you've been on, but, someone going, it's this, and you're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to go after. So the marketing and stuff. So then what happened to the cakes? Did you just shut the business down? Did you sell it on? Or?
So it took me a year to wind down that business because I had a year's worth of orders to fulfill.
Yeah.
I said to all of my clients that put down a deposit, look, don't be afraid. I'm not disappearing. I am closing my business down. I'm going to take the website down. I'm still contactable. I'm still making your cake. However, if you're not comfortable with that, I will help you find another cake decorator and I will give you a full refund.
Yeah.
None of them cancelled.
Great.
And I wanted all of them to cancel, to be fair. When you've made that decision, you just want to go. So it took me a year to wind that down. And whilst I had been doing social media for my own business, and whilst I had been advertising, marketing, PR, etc., I thought, okay, what is it that I think is growing? What do I think is the future? What do I want to do next? And I then retrained in social media. So I went and learned from some amazing people around the world.
Yep.
And to begin with, launched very broad. So I would work with anyone that would have me across any social media platforms and just organically.
Yeah.
And it was through doing that after a while, you work out what platforms you like. I mean, Twitter, honestly, I know some people that get amazing results on Twitter, and hats off to them. I myself hate the platform. I feels like I'm opening the back door and shouting out into the garden. But, I know people that vehemently hate Facebook. So,
again, it's an interesting point you bring up there, because as much as it's the platform, I think it's the person behind the platform. So people, I know companies that have come off Facebook just because they don't like, the ethics or the stuff that he's been involved with. And then likewise, people left Twitter because Elon's in charge, So I find it interesting. I think for me, because I tend to find a different use for each platform. So Twitter's a great place for me to research and find news. Don't always click on the algorithms because they just feed you up with some crazy stuff. So if you let's say you watch something on lockdown, very soon you'll start getting stuff on flat earth. It's like, no, well, there isn't one. Come on. So you have to be a bit careful in that respect, because it's serving you up.
That's all platforms though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like rabbit trail after rabbit trail. But for me, I struggle with Facebook in the point of, what irritated me is them strangling the algorithms over a period of time and not rewarding content in terms of content creators doing it organically. It just got harder and harder to do. I found my way around that with the Facebook groups. So Facebook groups work really, really well for us, in terms of communicating to an audience and stuff. So I just think you've obviously found your fit and where you're at. And I think having experts in that area, because I'm not an expert in Facebook, but I know someone that does, which is yourself. So it's like, well, Sam, how would we make the most out of it? Because it obviously works for people, but I don't know many experts in Twitter, which is an interesting one.
No, do you know what? Off the top of my head, I don't.
No,
and I don't hear of any, but then maybe it's because, a bit like the algorithm, I listen to the information in the, I'm creating my own algorithm in the content that I'm filtering out. And because I have no interest in Twitter, I might have filtered that out. So I'm probably sure there are. It's just
but it's
there's no one I know.
But it's not ready. When you talk advertising, no one goes, "Hey, do you want to do Twitter advertising?" It's quite a rare thing. I think it's going to change. I think it will change, just because of the way they've now allowing long form content, so you can put a 90-minute movie on there if you want. And I think that will shift for content creators, because ultimately it's normally on Facebook, and not Facebook, on let's say YouTube. I think Twitter are opening it up that we can put videos on there. So I think it will change, but Facebook is still used by the vast majority of people, and I think there's an audience there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you ended up obviously cake business, doing marketing, being very broad in terms of. So then you obviously over a period of time got to know a platform, which I guess is Facebook, and started seeing some really good results. But who was that around, and what type of people were you helping?
Well, again, another sort of pivotal moment. So I definitely had worked out that I liked Meta, Facebook and Instagram, but paid advertising rather than organic.
Yeah.
I like the results you can get on paid, but I hadn't quite worked out kind of who I wanted to work with. And then it's a date that all of us will be very familiar with, March 2020, lost all of my clients. A lot of the businesses that I was working with, they're small businesses. And of course, when something so monumentous happens, the first thing they do when you're nervous is you cut your marketing budget. Yeah. And I completely understand. And so I'm sat there. We do need my income. My husband works for himself. He's a handyman. So all of a sudden he could kind of do some work if it was outside, but we're looking at losing 2 incomes. And we're not in the position that we can lose 1 income, let alone 2. And so I thought, well, I don't know what to do. My knee-jerk reaction was go back into corporate, go and get a job. So I spoke to one of my friends who's a senior marketer at Coca-Cola and said to her, can you help me? I need a CV. I haven't had one for years, because even the last 2 roles I had in corporate, I was headhunted. So they were half-hearted CVs. I hadn't really put any effort into them at all. And she was brutally honest with me. She was exactly the person you need in that time. She went through my CV and was just brutal, wonderfully. I mean that as a massive compliment. And over the space of 3 weeks, we recreated my CV. no lying in there, but there were some really great keywords and all sorts of stuff that I didn't even know employers were now looking for, having not worked for someone for years. And we got to the end of creating this fantastic CV, best CV I've ever seen. It's never seen the light of day. I've never sent it to a single company, because just in that process of creating my CV, so I don't want to work for someone else.
There you go.
I don't want to do it. So what it was, and I, putting aside the personal things that people experience through COVID, setting that to one side, it was honestly the best thing that ever happened in my business, because it then made me realize I was doing what I wanted to do. But this was a great circuit break. Okay, who do I want to work with?
Yeah.
How do I want to work with them? What kind of service level do I want to do? And it meant I didn't have to go back to existing clients and say, oh, I'm changing how I'm working. We're now including a graphic designer. We're now including a videographer. And by the way, the prices are going to come up.
Yeah, of course.
It meant that I could put together those packages with confidence, knowing that this is, if you want to do this properly, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And there is no bronze, silver, gold package, no light version.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
Wow.
And it's been great since.
So you obviously just explained to the audience, so you now work with course creators.
Exactly. Yeah.
And coaches.
Yeah. Coaches and course creators.
Yeah. Which the knowledge economy exploded to some degree over COVID.
Yeah.
I think people use that time to reskill or upskill or just educate. I know I did, I discovered the whole thing of Facebook challenges as a result of it.
Yeah.
And educated myself there. And it was an intense period of time, but I think anyone that's an entrepreneurial business owner definitely spent a lot of time in educating, because we had to. It's like, what do we do now?
Well, do you know what? This ticks multiple boxes for me, because, first of all, when I learned how to do Facebook ads 9-10 years ago, I was in this small splinter Facebook group off of the main kind of course that I was on.
Yeah.
There was about 10 of us that created this Facebook group where we helped each other.
Yeah.
And everyone in the group kept on saying, don't work with coaches, don't work with course creators. They are so high maintenance and they're such a pain. Just don't work with them. Don't work with them. And so for years, I was like, oh, I'm not going to work with that. Oh no, I don't want to work with that vertical. So I'll try e-commerce and I'll try bricks and mortar, and nothing quite stuck until I accidentally got my first coach. And I was like, this is it. I love these people. These are my people.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I love them. And I get to work with amazing people who are genuinely out there. I've got clients who are saving lives. I've got clients who are helping people grow businesses, getting financial freedom, are changing their lives. And I get to almost be, is it Albert Pennyworth's Batman's butler? Yeah. I'm kind of like him in the background. Like I'm helping incredible. Batman go out, and I'm,
it's interesting you should say that. Yeah, because I talk about, in terms of storytelling, I talk about the Hollywood method, and a lot of people focus on the individual being the hero. And I always say, no. You come halfway through their journey in their, not long after their all is lost moment, where they're reflecting on all their failures and pains. They need a new plan with the same goal, but that's where you come in. Yeah. So the fact that you said Albert Pennyworth.
I think that's his name.
Yeah, that is, Because there was a TV show called Pennyworth, wasn't there, just recently?
I think so.
So, you're Mr. Miyagi, Albert Pennyworth.
Yoda.
Yeah, you are that person that helps someone on their journey. So you've just literally, again, just ticked that, like just told that story, because that's who we are. We're not the hero. We want to try and elevate other people to be the hero in what they're trying to achieve. And I think the knowledge economy for me is that there are information out there that is going to produce better results than you're going to get for university. And I think that's the sort of stuff that I'm against university. I think it has its place. If you're a surgeon, you might need to learn, I
certainly want qualifications if it's a surgeon or a pilot. Thank you.
Exactly. You want to know that they've done the right
Anything
thing.
else, and I'm kind of okay. But
but you could argue I think coders generally have kind of been coding for years anyway, and often they find what's being taught at university is way behind what they're actually doing. I think business development, there's so much information out there now. You can, and I think Power MBA, I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I don't think so.
They're almost an MBA in business. But for $800, I think it was, it's that they created a MBA course rather than pay for university to do this. They don't get all the certificates after it, but you get the same information.
Yeah.
And even Elon Musk was on that platform teaching people. So, the knowledge economy has changed, and the fact that education is more accessible. So you got to find your right spot. But what I'm saying is that you're helping people like financial freedom that's not taught in universities or schools to give those people that information to be able to live a better life. Because we've all pivoted out of life going, I can't do life the same. So what do I need to change?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one. So in terms of like you making that pivot and stuff like that, so you being clear, you're doing paid ads.
Yes.
So in terms of doing paid ads, I mean, there's a lot of money wasted on Facebook and, you know, I mean, I've heard like money being wasted on Boost, for example, where it's, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it makes more sense to do an advert than it does boosting existing posts. What are the common mistakes or assumptions people make on Facebook advertising, would you say?
I think, well, first of all, don't press the boost button. That's a good rule of thumb. Facebook have made it very, very easy for you to spend on advertising. And I can understand why they've done that.
Yeah.
But quite often people that boost are actually buying vanity metrics. So they're buying engagement or views, etc., that isn't actually going to put money in the bank.
Yeah.
So, and also the boost button doesn't give you the level of targeting or the detail that you can get into. If you can, it's worth spending the time and learning Ads Manager, which I know is not the most intuitive of platforms. It really isn't, but it's worth it. I think the next thing is that there is so much misinformation out there that Facebook advertising. When I say Facebook, I'm including Instagram and Audience Network.
Yeah.
There's so much misinformation that is, you just need to learn how to run Facebook ads and that's it, you're going to make a fortune. And it's like an ATM and just run ads and ka-ching, 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 you'll make money. It's not as easy as that.
No.
It's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand.
Which I've seen with the whole challenge movement. You know, they're like, just set up your Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And so these people are spending 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 on the course. And then you follow the forums and they're all struggling on Facebook ads. And it's like, well, you know, no one teaches them how to do it properly.
Yeah. And ultimately it comes down to, if you have a product or a program, and I'm more qualified to talk about programs and courses.
Yeah.
But if you have a program if you have a program that you're struggling to sell to your friends and family and your existing organic network, because people don't need it, don't want it, that you haven't quite got it, you haven't quite got the hook right, etc. If you're struggling to sell to a warm audience, the best Facebook ad in the world is not going to sell it for you.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have something that solves a pain or a problem. And you need to then be able to convey that and to be able to get that message across. Because if people don't want what you have to sell, Facebook is a brilliant, paid ads are an amplifier. So if you've got something that's doing well, that people like, that people want, we can amplify that. We can get it in front of more people.
Yeah.
If you've got something that people aren't buying, don't want, we can amplify that. And we can spend money showing you that people don't want it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So with your journey then, with a course creator, so where do you get involved? Do you get involved in the point of the course creation, or do you look at what they've currently got and go, you need to frame it differently? Or how would you work with a coach or a content creator?
I don't think there's a black and white answer to this. Mostly the second. So we tend to get involved, not always, but we tend to get involved with clients when they are at that stage where they're already selling one-to-one coaching, they're already selling a group program. They feel like they've hit a bit of a ceiling in terms of they feel like the message is getting out to the same people all of the time. It's exactly the same people. So they're trying to sell to the same people all of the time. So they feel restricted by organic. They normally have already tried Facebook advertising. So they've normally either got a VA to have a play, or they've got someone on their team who's a broad marketer to run ads, or they've got an agency in. So they tend to have seen some success and some indicators that this can work for them, and they know they're selling, but they just feel like it could be done better. And so whilst we help them with those ads, and we help them with the creation of the ads. We help them with, all the strategy and the audience and the reporting, etc. The bit that we do that I think our clients come to us for the Facebook ads, but the reason they stay is we get very involved in their business. So we get very involved in like the messaging and just making sure that, or other, I think probably a better way of saying it. So one of my favorite sayings is, when you're in the jar, you can't read the label. And I think there are so many coaches and course creators that are in the jar of their business and they're doing amazing things out there and they're changing lives, but they just don't know how to distill that into a clear message that their audience can get really quickly, because their audience, they're giving them 2 seconds attention if they're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in the newsfeed, we all flick through the newsfeed, don't we? If you don't grab them very quickly so that people can self-identify, oh, this is for me, this is interesting, then, they're not gonna give you their attention.
Yeah, it's an interesting, in terms of the ads and stuff. They're quite, I think it's like 3 or 4 posts and then there's an ad, and 3 and 4 posts and then there's an ad. And there's a lot of information to consume, and it can be quite noisy, can't it? In terms of, so how do you get around the fact of breaking the scroll? Is it a shock tactic? Is it a great image? Is it a clever headline? How do you break that cycle?
Yeah, we tend not to go for shock in the purest sense, because that's a bit can be a bit clickbaity. Yeah. And I think you can do your brand far more damage by going down, unless that really is your brand and you really are about controversy and shock, then I wouldn't use that tactic. I think it again comes back to this. Someone needs to be able to self-identify in a couple of seconds, or even less than that, kind of quickly, whether something is for them and it's of interest. So for me, it's almost like baby steps or pigeon steps or whatever you want to call it. So it starts with the visual. Yeah. So it starts with whether we're going to use a video or whether we're going to use a graphic. Yeah. But how can we make that headline on the video or on the graphic jump out to someone so they're like, whoa, okay, this deserves my attention. Now at that stage, they're not buying from you. They're not signing up for your program or your course. The purpose of that is just to scroll stop. Yeah. So they'll go, oh, yeah, that's interesting. And then they move to the text. And I like to, in the text of an ad, I like there to be something quite intriguing at the beginning. Now, as I say, not being clickbaity, but you want something that, again, resonates with them, gets their attention and makes them want to read more. Yeah. So it could be a question. It could be a question about their pain. It could be some kind of empathy about where they are. It could be almost like giving them the solution. Like, wouldn't you love to set up your own business doing X, Y, and Z, but there are 3 major hurdles. And they're like, oh, what's the 3 major hurdles? So it is that kind of
you're adding value even in that short piece of information. I mean, that's the key thing. You're giving them enough to go, oh, okay, you know a little bit more than just buy now or buy 2, get 1 free. It's, even in those headlines, you're educating them, aren't you? Just even in that tiny little bit of
And I think people forget that all the ad is doing is, the ad is not doing everything. Yeah. The ad is not building know, like, and trust. The ad is not taking you to the program and getting you to buy the program. The ad is not signing you up to a high-level mentorship where you're going to spend, 20 grand with someone. Yeah. The ad is there to get your attention, to stop you for a moment, to get you to spend more time with that brand, and then hopefully take the next step, whatever the next step is, whether it's signing up for a challenge, whether it's signing up for a webinar, whether it's downloading a lead magnet, or whatever it might be. But I think people sometimes look at ads and try to get it to do everything, and it's not there to do everything. It's just to get you to take the next small step.
It's a really good point. And you know what? And I still see the challenge model does work. It's a very good marketing tool. I don't know if you saw Matthew McConaughey. You must have.
Oh, I like Matthew McConaughey. I must have missed him. Has he done a challenge?
So Matthew McConaughey did a challenge.
Oh, man.
And he, Greenlight's his book.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So he's basically taken Greenlights and made a course of it. Now, he had close on 2.5 million people in his Facebook group.
Of
Of course he did. Now we were doing the stats. I think it was 2 million. So it was 2 million people in, and we worked out that if 250,000 of them signed up for his course, which is $399, they've made 95.5 million.
Good for him.
but he's probably made more in that than he ever did in a movie.
Probably.
Which is incredible. So, a lot of people say, oh, Facebook challenge did. I said, no, the right challenge is still worthy. Yeah. But don't expect everyone to come on live unless you're Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I think as well, I mean, I love challenges, but they serve well for a certain audience.
Yes.
And I'm probably like massively simplifying multiple marketing books that I've read over the years, but I see it as there are slow lane swimmers and there's fast lane swimmers.
Yeah.
We're all going to get to the same destination, but your slow lane swimmers are going to take a little bit more time to get there. They want to do their due diligence. They want to check you out. They want to watch your content. They want to make sure that you are reputable and that they want to, attention is a, high priced currency.
Yeah.
Or you have your fast lane swimmers. Now, quite often, I personally, in my own buying habits, to my own detriment, I'm a fast lane swimmer. That I know that I will want something, or I know that I'll have a pain or an issue, and I'll just go, do you know what? I'm just looking for a solution. Yeah, you'll do. I'll buy the first thing that comes along.
Yeah.
Challenges are brilliant for your slow lane swimmers because it gives over, whether it's a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day challenge. I've even been on 30-day challenges. You don't see as many of those anymore. No. But it gives people lots of micro opportunities to spend time with the coach. And we know that the more time people spend with a coach, the more likely they are to buy, more likely to. So challenges are brilliant for the for the slow lane swimmers. The problem is you've got fast lane swimmers like myself. I might still want to buy that program, but there's no way I'm signing up or turning out for a challenge. I just don't have the time or the inclination to do it.
I think that's been maybe the shift is, just going on Zoom for a summit now. It's I don't want to sit on Zoom forever. I don't mind watching it in my own time, but just to be captivated. Unless it's something special, unless something's different. So like if you've got Matthew McConaughey and then it's followed by Tony Robbins or whatever, then maybe you will sit on there for 3.5 hours or whatever it is. But it's just interesting to see Facebook gets those leases of life, don't they? Someone discovers a formula or a thing, and like the challenge model, it kicks on and goes up. So I've got 2 questions to ask you. One is, what would you say to someone who has a Facebook group where they feel like the algorithm is almost strangling the reach in the group? Or is that a thing? Because I've experienced it. What would you say there?
I mean, I'm going to be upfront. I'm not an community expert, but obviously my client, in fact, one of my clients teaches how to grow Facebook groups and how to monetize Facebook groups. So it is something I know about, but I'm not going to pretend I'm at his kind of level. I think there have been challenges with the algorithm. I think there's been challenges in what Facebook will show you from groups, and you have to manually go in there and select your preferences so that you see, rather than, I believe after a while when you join a new group, after a while, it will then downgrade how much of that group's content you'll see.
Right.
So it will give you lots of it when you've just joined it, and then it will kind of downgrade it unless you go in and change your own personal settings.
Right,
so that's why you'll still see in a lot of Facebook groups, like a little video or a little screenshot of, if you like this group, go and change your settings so you see more of this content. I still massively rate Facebook groups.
Yeah, I do.
I think they're really good as long as, you're putting good content in there. Mm-hmm. There's lots of engagement. I mean, one of my clients is Johnny Cooper of Johnny Hates Marketing. Mm-hmm. And his whole thing is about Facebook groups. So if anyone is interested in kind of seeing best example of how to run a Facebook group,
he would be
go and check out Johnny Hates Marketing. It's really, really good. He's in there every day. He's posting just little questions. He does a weekly video in there, like Thank Flip It's Friday. He does a free training on a Friday where he'll just take an element of running a Facebook group or of messaging or of having a discovery call, and he'll talk about that element, give away free training. He gives a lot of great value in there. Yeah. And then when he does ask his community for for a purchase gives them an offer, he gets a good uptake in sales.
Yeah, and we you know, because we run a Facebook challenge on behalf of a craft company, and we did really well. And the fact that we showed them how to get online in 5 days.
Love a bit of craft.
And at the end of it
you
was,
need to tag me when you're doing these things. I'll be all over that.
Yeah. So we did the challenge now 2 years ago, but they've not done another one because the upsell was so good because it was to get insurance. But that group bought into it so much they haven't needed to do a second one because they said we're still coping from the amount of work generated from the first one, which is great.
What a great testimonial. How many companies would like to say we don't need to market now?
Yeah, I mean,
we did 2 years ago.
We're servicing that audience with content. So we're writing blogs and all that sort of stuff for them. But it was just a great way of, here's a marketing tool that no one had heard of. Let's apply it to this group because they're absolutely ripe for it. And then execute. So thanks for answering that. The other question I've got to ask, which I'm sure loads of people
Please don't ask me what's next.
I'm going to ask, does Facebook listen?
Officially, no.
Officially?
That's all I'm going to answer. Officially no. Officially no.
Because our team went through this thing of talking about the most random stuff, and then it most randomly appeared in their feed.
Yeah. I couldn't comment. I have my own suspicions. I don't work for Facebook, so I don't
it's not your fault.
I don't have any insight or any insider knowledge.
Yeah.
Officially no.
Officially no. Okay, you heard that first. Officially no. But check it out. So obviously you're doing this for course creators, content creators and stuff, and you mentioned you've got like people talking about financial freedom and that sort of stuff. You don't have to name names or anything like that, but you know, where have you seen the greatest impact, you know, with the people in terms of the stuff that you do for them? I mean, have you seen their business take off, for example?
Yeah, we've had, okay, let me first of all caveat this by saying that not every Facebook campaign works.
Correct.
Not every campaign gets you a good return on investment. Running campaigns, running any, you know, whatever platform you're running on is a learning process, and we will never
test and measure.
We'll never get it right first time. But we've seen, I'm probably going to contradict myself here a bit, but we've seen with the clients that works really well. But as I say, there's outliers from this as well. Are the clients we work really well with the ones that have a successful business outside of coaching, a successful business in a niche. So I'll give you an example. We work with a couple of property sourcing and investing companies. So they have successful business, and they then teach people how to replicate their success. And we've got a couple of clients in this space. There's a lady called Sarah McDermott. There's a guy called Jamie York. They're sort of quite big names. They're in different spaces within property. We've been working with Jamie, and I'm not sharing anything that's confidential. He's done testimonials and all sorts of stuff for us. But Jamie came to us 3 years ago and said, look, I've got an in-house marketing team. No one's a specialist in Facebook ads. We're training them up to be that, but I just need an interim, someone to work with us for a few months. That was 3 years ago. We're still working with him, good. And we're working with him on both sides of the business. And Jamie would not hang around if he was not getting a return.
Yeah, of course.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Sarah McDermott, we ran, again, she's done a testimonial for this, so I'm not sharing any confidential. Now, this is a crazy result. This is the best result I've ever seen.
Okay.
It was about 6 weeks ago, so we're talking about like ad results now, not 10 years ago when it was a lot cheaper to run ads on Facebook. We ran a webinar. Very, very simple funnel. So it was a static picture of her with some text on it. She didn't have a landing page for a webinar, so we did an on-Facebook lead ad. So you didn't even lead Facebook. You didn't, you put your data in onto Facebook, and we collected the data and connected it to a CRM. She turned up for the webinar. She made 192x return on ad spend on it.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. So anyone listening, either don't come to me and say, hey, I'll take 2 of those, please.
I want a 189 return.
I'll happily take 150. It doesn't happen very often. It really, really, that's the best result I think we've ever seen.
But it's that culture of test and measure. And I think that the people, as you said, it's like a magic pill. They go, oh, we do Facebook ads because Google ads didn't work. It's taking the time to understand the audience and understand how you can meet their need and serve a need. And for me, it's going to take spend. You're going to have to spend money to test.
Yeah.
It's the same on building a web app. You're going to have to spend money developing, and it might not be the right thing because the feedback will come back that they're not using this amazing feature that you thought was going to change the world. So for me, it's being prepared to understand that there is that period of learning through everything that you do, and every new campaign you're still learning. It's not like instant results all the time.
It's butt clenching every single time I press publish. And I've pressed publish on a lot of campaigns, and I still will come back in a couple of hours later, and I'll be like looking through my fingers at the screen, thinking, "Come on, show me some results."
It's funny,
just as it loads, it takes forever to load.
It's like with us, you check something like this is my background because I was involved in print, so I do you do a beautiful brochure. It's got the photos in, you got the text in. It's been reread about 9 billion times, and then it's that. Send to the printer, and then you're like, and then you get it back, and you almost don't want to look at it because you're going to find something.
Because there'll be a typo in there.
There'll be a typo, no, or you just quietly fold it away. But yeah, so for me, it's there is that element of trial and error, and I think that in digital marketing or anything that you do marketing wise, to say that there isn't, and this is the winning formula, and you're going to get it right straight away. I love the fact that you just go, no, there is an element of that, and you factor that into what you do, but. It turns out I'm not going to ask you what next is, but what I am going to ask you is, have you considered educating people? I have, and I'm not going to. Why? Why? So a few years ago, before COVID, I decided I was going to create a course. Okay. And I was going to touch on like best practices for organic, paid advertising, and really break it down so someone could watch my course with 2 screens and build their own campaigns. And I put a bunch of beta testers through it, spent a huge amount of, maybe not money, I invested in some equipment, etc., but I spent a lot of time almost like nailing up duvet covers around my office so it didn't echo, and trying to get the sound right and everything like that. And literally the day before I launched, Facebook changed the whole business manager interface. And I just thought, this moves too quickly. I could try and create something that's evergreen, but really this moves too quickly. I'll leave other people teach it. And I've seen some of that with the Facebook teaching and Facebook ad management, and they've changed the whole thing, and it's like, well, it's all irrelevant now. The thing I was going to say though is there must be things that you teach in the journey of what you're doing that you don't have to go as deep as showing the interface, but certainly like female entrepreneur, building a business, creating courses and content and stuff that you could bring that's almost outside of the platform. And the platform, they might decide that they actually want to advertise on Snap, or they want to advertise on TikTok, for example. But yeah, that's just me thinking aloud. There might be a course somewhere, but it's not. I think you would have loads of information to give. And I'm more than happy to share that. So, if anyone ever wants to have a conversation, ever wants to pick my brains, I'm very happy and generous to share my expertise, but I just know what goes into creating a course, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I'm busy enough. Thank you very much, Daryl. What about Facebook? Are you always going to stick with Facebook, or have you started looking at other platforms now as you've gone on? Who knows is the honest answer to that question. At the moment, we're still getting really good results. And while we're getting really good results and we're not seeing a drop off, as much as the doomsayers will tell you that Facebook is dead, it's not at the moment. No. Will it be here? Will it be as big in 5, 10 years, 15, 20? I can't answer that question. It's like any marketing, right? If I had a, crystal ball, I would probably, as much as I'm loving chatting to you today, I'll probably be in the Caribbean and not working. Yeah. So I don't know is the honest answer to that question. I personally am very intrigued with TikTok. I love it as a consumer. Yeah. Although, funnily enough, talking about algorithms earlier, my son doesn't have he's 11 years old and he doesn't have his own phone yet. And so he accesses TikTok through my phone. And so the algorithm is all over the place. It doesn't know what to show us because my son collects coins and Pokemon cards and likes a lot of comedy. And I'm looking at different marketing. I like comedy as well, but I'm looking at a lot of different marketing things. So it's going Pokemon, marketing, there's probably a whole algorithm now where they can tell that it's a parent giving their phone to their kid. Because I started a new TikTok just for the purpose people, because, you know, if we had to, because my personal one, my daughter was using, obviously she's got older, but I was just being served up toys and unicorns and and I'm like, what?
What are you saying? You love a unicorn. Come on.
but it was just like, yeah, same thing. The algorithm's wondering what the heck is going on. So Sam, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
how
having
would
me.
people get in touch with you to find out a little bit more? If they got a course or they want to create, I do recommend people get in touch with Sam. It's good to have experts in your corner. So how would they get in touch with you?
You can contact me through Facebook. I'm Samantha Pilling on Facebook, or Bite Me Marketing.
Yep.
Or through LinkedIn, Samantha Pilling. Although I am Sam. I don't know. I signed up for social media when I was feeling all grown up, and I'm not feeling
for
as
some
grown up
reason
now.
I got Daryl Wayne Irwin and I haven't been able to get rid of, just take that out, you know. So
It's still me. Call me Sam. It's fine. But connect with me. I'm more than happy.
Awesome. So thank you so much. And yeah, tune in, like and subscribe, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Purpose People podcast. You can follow us online. You can like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can follow us on Apple, Google, Amazon, and Spotify. And if you see any clips on our Reels, which is on Instagram or Facebook, or even on TikTok, please give it a like, please give it a share, and please tell your friends. We'd love for you to take part in a Purpose People questionnaire that is also through our website at cre8ion.co.uk. And hopefully you can find yourself living a life on purpose.